What's up, guys? Welcome to Journey of a Hero, where we cover Star Trek, Star Wars, A Song of Ice and Fire, and the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. My name is Aaron. Today, I'm covering Star Wars The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. Let's get into it. So right off, before we get into it, I want to say that this episode of The Mandalorian, I feel that a few others have been like this, is very much, in my opinion, like a placeholder. Like, obviously, it's we're moving the story along. To find Grogu, we have to get this information as to where Moff Gideon could be. So now they have to find this. We have to find this information. But the episode, it just, to me, didn't really seem to do much. This entire half-hour episode, to me, seemed like something that would just be a part of an episode. Maybe a 10-minute sequence or a 15-minute sequence out of a full episode. Seemed like this was just stretched out to be a full episode, and it was only a little over a half hour. But, there was still definitely some cool stuff in it. So, all right, let's get into it. So we start off, and they're going to find Mayfield, and we see he's in this New Republic prison that's basically like a scrapyard, and he's doing some work there. This prison guard droid comes up to him and basically tells him that he has a new assignment. Then we see Cara Dune come up, and they release him from his shackles and basically tell him he's got a new assignment. Don't tell him where he's going. And, this guy Mayfield, we've been introduced to him before, and he's known as kind of a scoundrel figure. But I think we see some interesting character development from him over the course of the episode. So Cara Dune walks him up to this ship, and we see the Slave One sitting here, and out comes Boba Fett, the man. And one thing I gotta say about Boba is it looks like he spruced up his armor a little bit, as we'll see in some future clips here. But he looks like he's going to a Zoom meeting where he's only got to be dressed up from the waist up. Like, he's wearing what's he got on, some MC Hammer wind pants or something. He needs some armor on the bottom. I mean, just shoot him in the leg. He's got his Beskar on from his waist up, but I'm gonna just take his legs out. But yeah, Boba Fett has definitely done some maintenance to his armor since he's gotten it back. It looks better now. But how cool is it just to see Boba Fett and Din Djarin next to each other, both in their Mandalorian gear, armed up to the T. Like, it looks really cool seeing these two Mandalorians next to each other. So Mayfield, he's a little bit worried seeing the Mandalorian again. He says, "Oh, what are you here to kill me?" But finds out about his new mission. And I just want to make a small point about and I think it's something that's touched on several times throughout the episode, treatment of human life and prisoners, and whether it's the Empire or the New Republic or whoever's in control. So Mayfield, he's a prisoner of the New Republic, but he's serving a life sentence, doing looks like hard manual labor. They've reassigned him to a potentially deadly mission with nothing in it for him. No years off his sentence, no getting out, nothing. They're basically saying, yeah, you get to do this and you don't have to do the manual labor, but hey, you could get killed doing this. So I just thought that was an interesting nuance to see, that everything is a shade of gray. Even though he's a New Republic prisoner, he still ain't really being treated that good. So we have the crew assembled. We get to see the Slave One take off. That ship just looks really good. It's so great to see this ship back in the series, and to back in the Star Wars universe, and to have Boba Fett back, and to have Boba Fett actually doing stuff. Unlike his introduction to us in the original trilogy, he doesn't really do anything, and he gets killed in kind of a goofy way. He looked cool and everything, and people always, oh, Boba Fett, but now he's actually doing cool stuff. and kicking ass and taking names, and yeah, everything looks really good with the Slave One and with Boba, except his pants, of course. So we get a few internal shots of the Slave One as they're flying through space, going to the coordinates of this planet that has this terminal that Mayfield can access with his Imperial codes, his ex-Imperial status. And yeah, these are some cool shots inside the ship. Again, we get to see Boba Fett. We get to see his face, the face of Jango and Boba and all the clones, even though Boba Fett has taken a couple of hits to the face. But, you know, that happens sometimes. So they've assembled the crew. They've reached the destination. Now they need to find out how to infiltrate this base where they're refining this uridium that's highly volatile. They need to infiltrate this base so Mayfield can access this terminal. Mayfield drops it on them that there is bioscanning from the Imperial remnant, and anybody who's on their radar is gonna trip that. And like he says, they're going to be guns blazing. So Mayfield is clear to go in, but Cara Dune can't go. Boba can't go. The other chick can't go. So Mandalorian says, "Hey, I'll go." But Mayfield's like, "Well, you can't wear your armor. You can't have your helmet on." And we see that Mando scans one of the trucks, or he zooms in and sees that the troopers in there have their armor on and have their helmets, and you know, he gets the idea, hey, I can steal their armor and not show my face. But is the code of or the creed of the sect of Mandalorians that Din Djarin here belongs to, isn't it that your helmet shouldn't be removed unless you're in private and just eating or washing or bathing, whatever? It's not that you can't show your face. It's that your helmet's supposed to stay on. Mayfield gets into that with him a little bit later in the episode. So we see our friendly Imperial stormtroopers driving their Star Wars big rig full of uridium, and the crew drops in on them. Cara Dune busts in and drops the people's elbow on these guys, and basically, did she knock him out or kill him? She like hit him with two elbows and smacked their heads against the council, and they're dead. Classic action movie fighting right there. Now we get Mayfield in and Din in the big rig, and Mayfield's been cracking on Mandalorian about having to switch his armor out, and Mayfield he brings up a few good points here. As they drive through this village, this what looks like a poverty-stricken village on this planet, Mayfield sees that empires in control here, New Republic's in control somewhere else. These people's plight is still the same, and that's a lesson that you should pay attention to for real life. Is that it's not necessarily always who is in control. It's what are they doing? Let's not just choose our team and say this team's good and this team isn't. What are the policies that are going to affect the people? And these people definitely don't seem to have it going well for them. And Mayfield points a few of those things out. And then it's also kind of funny. He's talking to the Mandalorian about his helmet and the rules around wearing the helmet. And he's kind of, pointing some things out like, well, you have this rule when you got to do this, or you change the rule when you got to do this. It seems like your rules are pretty fluid. And that necessarily isn't a bad thing. Sometimes you got to change up based on the situation. But that's part of Din Djarin's hero's journey, is that he has to see that maybe he has to adapt how he does things. And he's seen other Mandalorians who've literally been in control of the Mandalorian people, and they don't wear their helmets all the time. They take them off when they're not fighting. And, he might have to curb his expectations and curb his attitude sometimes. So then we start seeing these 18 wheelers, these big rigs get picked off, and we start hearing that over the radio. And then we see some explosions in the distance, and now Mayfield's starting to sweat. He's, he didn't sign up for this. He got picked for this and forced on this mission, and they're just getting going, and he's already at risk of getting blown up here. So what happens is we got some, I'm gonna call them freedom fighters. We got some freedom fighters coming, and they're trying to take back, I'm assuming it's their planet as well. I mean, the village that we saw was humans in that village, and then these guys are aliens. I'm not familiar with this alien species, if we've seen them before in Star Wars, but they're trying to run out these occupiers. It's occupiers on their planet, and they're trying to extort and exploit the resources of this planet while decimating the people. And that's another lesson. Star Wars is more than just cool action, lightsabers and explosions and whatever. There's lessons that they're trying to tell us, and it's not cool to exploit native people wherever they are for their resources while decimating them and not bringing the benefits to those people. And that's what we're seeing here. Unfortunately for these freedom fighters, though, they're trying to blow up the big rig that has the Mandalorian in it, that has Din Djarin, and he's gonna send these guys to a real effed up day. He jacks these guys up, and it's cool to see the Mandalorian getting down without his Mandalorian armor, because he's not a superhero. When he's got his Mandalorian armor and he's all geared up properly, he's basically a space age Batman. But now he's just in regular stormtrooper gear, and he has to fight, and then his gun runs out or whatever, loses its charge, runs out of battery. I don't know, however their blasters are charged, but he has to get down and fight hand to hand. He throws his blaster, and he starts kicking ass and taking names. But there's a lot of these freedom fighters coming after him, and he can't. There's just too many for him to fight. So they start getting the best of him at a point. And I don't know if I can say they're getting the best of him, but they get him down. But he's still got a couple tricks up his sleeve, and he gets one of these thermal detonators and throws it at these guys chasing them, but the explosion is so close that it blows him back, and then just a swarm more, like tons more of these dudes come out of the woodwork, and you see Din, he sighs, and he doesn't say it, but I could just feel him saying, all right, I guess this is how I die. Like there's just too many for him to fight, but he's still going to keep trying. He puts his fists up. And then we move on to seeing the cavalry come in. And it's interesting because this episode is showing a lot of varying shades of gray. So now that we have our protagonist Din Djarin posing as a stormtrooper, and Mayfield's teamed up with him, and those are the good guys, but they're posing as Imperials. So now we see some TIE fighters swoop in, and it's heroics. It's yeah, here come the TIE fighters. They're gonna blow up all these guys, and the day is saved. But it's because now our perspective has been shifted to the guys that we're rooting for are on the side of the Empire, or at least posing that way. So it's just interesting to see that perspective shift, and they do the uplifting music when the TIE fighters swoop in, and then the rest of these stormtroopers run up and mow down these freedom fighters who are not as well armed as them. They just get mowed down, and when you really think about it, it's actually kind of sad, but it helps move the story along, and it helps get Din Djarin and Mayfield where they need to go. And then you see all the stormtroopers saluting them as they roll in with their delivery. All right, so they get into the base. They're trying to figure out where's the council. Mayfield says it's probably in the officers' mess. Speaking of which, I don't see one food dispenser. I don't see a stove. Where does the food come from? It doesn't look like there's anything in this. It looks like it's a concrete room with a table in it. So I don't know. That's a sidebar that I was thinking about. So they see the terminal, and this is something I was talking about it in the last Star Trek video that I put out. Sometimes in Star Wars, I think they do a really bad job of making the tech look cool. So like there's this terminal and it looks like a outdated ATM. It's all big and bulky. Like, what does this thing even do? How many wires are inside of this thing? It reminds me of like before flat screen TVs. If you really wanted a big TV, it was going to be this big bulky box and you had to get like 4 people just to move it from one side of the room to the other. That's what this thing looks like. So Mayfield goes to go in there and he sees one of his commanding officers from his time in the Empire, and he's afraid to go in because he thinks he's going to get recognized. He starts chickening out. He's becoming a spineless, coward at this point. But Din's like, we got to do this. This is my only chance to get Grogu back. So Din says, look, I'll do it. And this is the scene where we see that Mandalorians, or at least Din Djarin, however he was raised and however he's been operating with the Mandalorian creed, this dude has like 0 social skills. Like he didn't think up any cover story. He doesn't know how to speak. Like he made this so much more awkward than it had to be. So he goes in there with the helmet on, and we know he's the Mandalorian. He doesn't want to be showing his face to all these people or whatever, but you got to do a facial scan. This dude goes up here with his helmet on as if it's going to work. And of course it doesn't. And then because he's acting awkward, he's further drawing the suspicion of these officers over here. So of course the officer comes up to him and wants to see what's going on. Now, another sidebar, I got to say, Imperial officers, why do they wear a pack of gum on their uniform as like an identifier of rank? This looks like if you like open up a pack of a Trident or whatever type of gum, and you just tape that to your shirt. That's what his badge looks like. It's ridiculous. So the officer comes up to Din. He starts interrogating him, and Mayfield, sees what's going on and realizes that he has to try to step in and save the situation, even if he has to, show his face to one of his old commanding officers. And the officer doesn't recognize him, and looks like he's going to be able to save the situation and get them out of there. But as the officer starts asking more questions, he becomes more suspicious, and he pulls the guys over to grab a drink with him so he can grill him some more. So they sit down, and the officer starts talking, and Mayfield drops Operation Cinder. Now, Operation Cinder is played out. I believe we see this in the Star Wars video game Battlefronts. I think that's where we see Cinder. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in one of the video games, and it basically happens after the Emperor is killed in Return of the Jedi. The Emperor makes it so that if he dies, his orders are to have the Empire basically fall with him. And there's a bunch of giant lasers, for lack of a better term, giant death weapons that can destroy cities and planets, and the Empire starts unleashing these things on even previously loyal populations because the Emperor has died. And I mean, I'm simplifying it, but that's basically what it was. It was the Emperor's dying wish to take everybody down with him. It might remind you of somebody else currently in power, but that was the Emperor's thing. And that took place, I want to say, approximately 5 years before the current events of The Mandalorian. And we see Mayfield, he mentions that he was there, and this officer says that he had to make some, undesirable decisions. And but you can tell that the officer really doesn't care. The officer is totally drinking the Imperial Kool-Aid, and Mayfield's not having it. And this scene is where Mayfield became my guy. This is where Mayfield grew a pair of balls and he said, hey, I'm not taking this BS. You can see it in his face. You can see he's trying to figure out, like, he's getting angry and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. And what he's going to do is snap. And it's funny because you see the Mandalorian look at him as he starts talking more and more. And the Mandalorian's shaking his head like, nah, man, chill. We just got to get out of here nice and easy. But when that guy says that, 10,000 people died and, oh, they were heroes, it's showing, and this is another great lesson that this episode of Star Wars is helping us see, is that people are not disposable. And powers around the world, governmental powers, wherever they may be, they might say one thing and be doing something else. They might appear to be one way and really be, doing nefarious, evil things behind the scenes. And you can tell this Imperial officer, he doesn't care about these people. He doesn't care about anybody who's died. And that's another thing that Mayfield was saying when he was talking to Din about the Mandalorian wars. Like, tons of people died in those wars. You think they all really wanted to be doing that? So people's lives are not expendable. You can't just stomp on people's livelihoods and their lives and expect people to be cool with it, because one mofo like Mayfield might come around and snap on you. And that's what he did. He murks this Imperial officer just like the rat bastard that he is, just as he should have done. And I was happy to see it. And Din kind of looks at him like, bro, we weren't supposed to do that. We're just supposed to get in and out. And Mayfield's kind of like, well, and then we see this poor stormtrooper over here who just wanted to get his lunch. Like, he wasn't going to go and stomp on any villagers today. He wasn't going to do any fascistic imperial things. He just wanted to eat his lunch and go home after his shift. But Mayfield decides to murk him. And Mayfield and the Mandalorian have to get their shoot on and shoot their way out of there. And another thing that I like seeing out of Mayfield, and I see his character developing, and I really think Mayfield's a good dude now. He hands the Mandalorian back his stormtrooper helmet, and he's like, hey, I never saw your face. You did what you had to do. And Mando kind of gives him a nod, and they go and do their thing. And as they bust out of there, we see stormtroopers getting shot down off of the side of this dam. That's a bad day for him. That's a long fall, and I don't think he was dead after he got shot. I think he just slipped. So that kind of sucks. Then Boba Fett springs into action, hops in the Slave One, and takes off. And man, this ship looks good. Like, I'm loving everything with these Boba Fett scenes and this ship scene. And everything just looks really dope. And with the aid of the ladies doing the sniping, Din Djarin and Mayfield are able to make their way out of there. And man, I'm telling you, I thought Mayfield was going to get shot. He had to jump to get onto the ship, and I thought he was just going to get shot. I thought they were going to murk him right there, and that was going to be the exit. But I was glad to see him make it out, because his character definitely grew on me over the course of this episode. So after they hop on the ship, Mayfield says, "Give me the peace." Reminds me of Denzel Washington in Training Day. What do you say? He said, give me the bitch. But Mayfield grabs the gat, and he says, "Yo, I'm gonna take these mofos out." And he blows up the base. He hits the uridium and blows that sucker up. And good for him, man. Good for him sticking it to the Empire, sticking it to the man. And you see the Mandalorian give him a look after, and he kind of look he gives it is like, well, you didn't have to do all that. And Mayfield's kind of like, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did have to do all that. So that was dope. And then the TIE fighters jump back on the tail of the Slave One, trying to take them out. So now the TIE fighters are bad again. They were good before. Now they're bad again. And what do we get to see but Boba Fett dropping this, I'm going to call it a depth charge. I'm sure this bomb has some type of actual name in universe, but I'm just going to call it a depth charge. And it's just like we got to see Jango Fett do when Boba was a little kid. And I think it was the Attack of the Clones. when they were trying to take out Obi-Wan and Anakin. And we get to see that weapon used again. And it looks great. And it takes out those TIE fighters real good. So after all that, they get back, pick everybody up. And Cara Dune basically tells Mayfield, hey, you can go now. You know, I think she saw that he wasn't really still pining for the Empire and that he did some good here today, and that whatever he's going to do, he's going to be a force for good out there. So they say, hey, yeah, I think you died back there in that explosion. So it looks like you don't have to go back to prison. He's like, can I leave? Cause I will. I'll walk right off. And there he goes off into the jungle. I don't know how he's going to get home or if he has a home, but he didn't come from this planet and he doesn't have any gear. So I'm kind of curious where he's going. Didn't look, I guess he's going to walk back to that little village. They're going to be like, hey, that's the stormtrooper guy from the big rig. Then our final scene, we see Moff Gideon in his Darth Vader outfit, looking good. And he gets a message that he did not expect, nor does he want to see, from Din Djarin. And Din Djarin flips it right back on him, just like the message that Moff Gideon sent to him earlier. Din says, hey, I'm coming for Grogu, and you best not be there when I get there, because if you are, you're going to have a real effed up day. And that's that. We're going to get the season finale next week, and I am looking forward to it. So yeah, guys, that's it for right now. Hey, like, comment, subscribe. Journey of a Hero. My name is Aaron. I'm out of here. I'll catch you next time. May the Force be with you. Peace.